Can you dig any deeper now? I gave you all I own, put you on this golden throne, but I'm a little stronger now. You cashed in on my promises, you know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out, 'cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now, a little stronger now. You cashed in on my promises. You know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out, 'cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now, a little stronger now, a little stronger now, a little stronger now, a little stronger now. You cashed in on my promises. You know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out, 'cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now, a little stronger now.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night with BMR. Brandi and Monica. Krista has the night off. Thanks for everybody coming out tonight. 12 midnight where I live, 11 Central, wherever you are in the world. Thanks for popping on in. Appreciate it. Always great to come on with the girls. Always a pleasure to have you, my illustrious audience, joining us. We got a pretty cool show for you tonight, and I appreciate that. We all do. We appreciate it. If this is your first time here, please subscribe to Bigfoot and Michigan Rob on YouTube, The Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast on YouTube, Monica Rollins, Our Paranormal World, and Texas Front Porch, all found on YouTube. A couple other buddies, Paranormal Paul, Donnie Cho Says Stuff. Check them out. Good shows across the board. If you like our content and would like to help support the show, the super chat's open. Thanks for that in advance. Become a BMR pirate. Join the many, join the few, depending on your point of view. Join today. Hit that join button. You get a picture of me with my bandana next to you in the chat room. And I think I'll be doing some member-only shows upcoming here when the fall officially makes way. I had to figure out what I want to do with that. So thank you for that. Also, everybody, I got to thank everybody for buying. Well, my first book, as you know, has been out for a little over a year now. Bigfoot Michigan Rob Presents True Cryptid Encounters. Book 1, found on Amazon. Type in Bigfoot Michigan Rob on your Amazon browser, and it'll pull up. And the second book will also pull up, a little over a month old now. Book 2, that's right, Book 2. It's out. Check it out. The link for this book is in the video, and all my links for all the shows and whatever else I got going on is in my about page, my profile page on YouTube. So thank you so much for that. We're going to get on with it tonight. I'm going to bring up the lovely women. From the Blondes and the Booze, we got Brandi.
Hey,
Hi,
everybody.
Hello, Brandi Boo.
Hello.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Nice and
Good to
refreshed.
see you. Yeah, it's a
Been a
good
minute.
Saturday night.
Good Saturday night. It's a great Saturday night to do a show for everybody out there. And we also have another lovely lady, Monica from Our Paranormal World, pops on in.
Hey,
Monica,
everybody.
Monica fast becoming the late night owl of YouTube.
I know. I'm a night
She
owl.
is. She
What
is.
can I say? I was
know?
Texas go-to when he was doing those night owl shows.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you couldn't break free. Couldn't break free. Now you're on, I think, Wednesday through Saturday at night, or at least Thursday,
Thursday.
Friday. Yeah. We got your show, then you're over there with Mr. Breezy.
That's right. The breezy speakeasy.
Yeah. Well, that's always fun to just, if you want, if you've got nothing else to do, just always chill back, and it's always that's always a fun show too.
It is. It's interesting for sure. We talk a lot of 80s horror. But somehow we always like just evolve into 80s horror talk at the end of the show.
80s horror talk is kind of cool. I remember that's, that was, what was that like? Was that when Friday the 13th came out and all that stuff?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All those other cult classics. I thought they got weird though. When Friday the 13th, 1 and 2, awesome. 3, but then when it got into Jason Takes Manhattan,
yeah.
Jason Takes Manhattan, Jason in Outer Space, yes, I did watch them, of course, but man.
Well, we talked about them last night since yesterday was Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
So there was a big old conversation about all of the Jason movies.
I noticed a lot of people that normally don't do Friday night shows. They were all out last night on YouTube.
I get it. You have a life. I don't. I get it.
Yeah. Well, and you notice too, right around Halloween, everybody's mother has a Halloween show.
Well, sure. Got to keep it spooky. It's spooky.
Yeah, you gotta keep it spooky. Yeah, I can't wait till we move into the spooky stuff. Although this show is primarily spooky anyway.
It's Kukui season in October.
Yeah. It's Kukui season?
Kukui. It's a Mexican boogeyman or Hispanic boogeyman.
Is it also like the La Muerta? What's that? The death?
Oh, Dia de los Muertos.
Yeah.
The Day of the Dead. That's more like celebrating your past loved ones.
But the Day of the Dead is not spooky. It's like you said, celebrating.
Yeah. You put up ofrendas, right? Like little little memorials for the people that have passed on.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's right. I gather because at first I thought it was really creepy stuff until I started kind of getting into it, kind of looking the stuff up, and it's more it's more pleasant than nefarious.
Oh, it is. It's meant to be anyway.
Yeah, it depends on your point of view.
I guess so.
Yeah. So, Brandi, what you been up to the last several days? I don't see you but once a week usually, if that.
Well, it's been Kidlet week. She has had her homecoming week, and she had the game, and unfortunately my brother is ill again. He's back in the hospital, so I've been pretty much stuck in the home zone, taking care of stuff around here and at his house. And but she played beautifully even in the rain. I was sitting out there in my little frog tog suit, everybody's looking at me because when it started raining, here I am standing up, putting my pants on and getting my little hoodie on. And they're looking at me like, "You're ready for this?" I said, "It's not my first rodeo. I will not get cold and I will not get wet. That's the two things I won't do at a football game. Won't happen."
Yes. Yeah. The worst thing, because back in the day, I coached football for the junior kids, and then after it was over, I still went to some of the games just because I still enjoyed it in the fall, going and watching the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you, there's nothing worse than sitting and the stadiums that they played in my neighborhood, the benches were aluminum, and they're still aluminum.
They still are.
And let me tell you something. First of all, they're hard as heck, right, on your butt. And if you get a cold, windy day and it starts to rain, the last place you want to be sitting down with not enough clothing or the appropriate gear is in those stands.
It's true.
Well, I also have a stadium chair that I hooked to the bleachers, and it's got a little back. It's got a back to it, and I got like armrests, and I've got places to put my snacks and my soda.
Yeah.
Everything is right there. I'm like, how could you not have one of these? You don't have to sit on those bleachers anymore.
No, you don't. In fact, I invested in because this one girl I used to go up with, she had that L shape, like kind of what you're talking about, and you put it on the bleacher, and you can lean into it. It's about it's a nice about a 3.5-inch cushion.
Yeah, and it gets you up. It gets you up off the bleacher. You got a back. I got armrests, and like I said, I have like little places for my snacks and my phone, and I'm good.
Yeah. Hers wasn't quite that advanced, and then I just said, well, then I went to the sporting goods, and I said, when I got the little square one just for my behind, I prop that down, sit on that, because and some people, but in the summertime, if you have the early, like here in Michigan in September, it's still kind of hot. Or you go on the field with the recliner with the like the beach chair that's made of cloth, and you've got all your. But half the time when I'm at a football game, I'm not sitting down anyway. I'm always standing because I don't. It's too exciting sometimes just to sit down, So I got to stand and look around the field and see what's going on. But regardless, the cushions are fabulous. They're fabulous.
Well, for me, I didn't like the cushions because it doesn't matter. I always end up leaning forward. Putting your elbows on your knees and leaning forward. I do that all the time, and I'm like, then your back starts hurt. I'm like, I'm not doing that no more.
Well, if I'm in the stands, I'm typically not going to stand, and I'm like you though. I do lean forward. I even lean forward in chairs at the house, or I'm at the edge of the chair.
I'm leaning forward right now.
I'm like right now. I'm leaning forward on the thing because this is a nice, comfortable chair. I can kick back like this, which feels fantastic. But I'm always just in the uncomfortable position with my butt right at the edge of the chair, and I don't know. It's just it's just the way that rolls, and so yeah. But I'm on edge of the chair, sitter, no matter where I go. No matter for what it is, function, anything. So, and with the cushion, I would have it on the edge because my butt would be right at the edge, of the aluminum. So at least the cushion gave me some sort of, comfort, I guess, if you will.
All right, Monica, you weigh in now. Are you the behind cushion, or are you the stadium chair girl?
Oh, I gotta have a chair. When I was younger, just the cushion was fine, but I'm old now and I've got a bad back and a bony butt, and I need some cushion. And I need more than anything, I need back support because I'm in my chair and I need that.
All right.
Yeah, I got you. I'm fortunate, knock on wood, my back still doesn't get sore, but it's always, the rear end position that gets all sore. But
you're just the knee guy. You're the knee guy.
The knee guy.
Yeah.
Well,
if something's going to go wrong on BMR, it's the knees every time.
Oh, yes. Oh, no. I didn't know what you quite meant by the knee guy. I'm like, Brandi, really? I'm not.
I thought you meant you were like leaning forward on your knees.
Yeah. Yeah.
What you doing on your knees?
Yeah. I'm like, okay.
You tell them the truth. I was weeding my garden.
Well, you know what I do, and I tell you what, I do have a garden, and both my knees are messed up, and I cannot knee. I can't even knee. Like if I get up and get on my knees right now, they both hurt. Like because the one knee's got a plate kind of in it, so you can feel it's the metal hitting the ground, and that's just so uncomfortably.
Right.
I'm rarely on the knees. In fact, when I do my garden, I do bring out an actual mat to put my knees on as I slide away. In fact, next year I might just get the knee pads, like a hockey goalie, and just strap them around the knees when I'm on because when you do the garden, man, digging it out, you're down there a couple hours.
Yeah.
I remember Monica complaining about that.
Yeah, I have like a little cushion, like a rectangular cushion thing. Because when I'm down there, I weed more than anything. So I'm down there weeding.
Oh, that's the thing.
Yeah. And, it's okay when I'm down there. I could squat in that position, but that hurts my back even more.
Yeah.
So, I got the little cushion. I'm down there weeding, but I'll tell you, like, it strains my back. Even like with all the support that I could have, it just stings. I just have back problems, and it sucks. It just sucks.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, I haven't hit that, but you're right about the weeding, because I'm on the knees planting the garden, and it takes forever, as I said. And then when it gets so hot and humid, then you get the rain and you water the garden. The weeds just they grow like weeds.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, man, I gotta get on my knees to do this. So I was getting sick and tired of it. But you got it. But you have to do that.
Yeah.
I went and I bought a one of these long staffs with a clicker at the end, and at the bottom it's got like graspers where you can pull stuff. What a waste of money. It's not strong enough to pull out the weeds.
I wouldn't think so.
It don't work.
Oof.
Right?
I have nut sedge. Are you familiar with that? It looks like this coarse grass that grows.
No.
They grow via root system. So you pull one up. If you pull it up delicately, it'll still be connected via the root to another one.
Oh.
And you have to buy this special crap to kill them. But I have toads in my yard. And I don't want to put any kind of like chemical out there because I don't want to. The toads are good for the ecosystem and the bugs and everything. So I have to go every weekend and get down on my hands and knees and gently pull out the nut sedge and try to get as much of the root as I can, because that stuff is prolific.
Well, I tell you what, I've been talking about it for weeks. I have got tree frogs and toads for everybody. So if you kill off yours, Monica, I'll bring you some gladly. It won't take me much to catch them. I just open the door. That's it.
Oh, they like it inside.
Yeah, they like to come inside. I mean, I've squished them. I've stepped on them. I've caught them in between the door. Yeah, I mean, they're just everywhere. I've been talking about it's the plague out here. So if you kill all yours off, it's okay. I got plenty. I'll give you some.
I'll come gather the toads. Yeah.
I will tell you guys something. Where I live, I've got an empty lot next door to me, and which I've been trying to buy, but they want like an unbelievable amount of money, and it's owned by the county. It's with the Wayne County Commission, and they own it. It's not owned by the city where I live. It's owned by the county, and they have this ridiculous price on this. And so I have to send an email and kind of bitch. I do that now, you guys, because they never cut the grass. And I get the grass gets long, and you get all these rodents running about. I mean, not rats, but I had a groundhog kind of wrecked my garden last year. But along my fence line, though, I get all these weeds. And I used to go on my hands and knees and pull the weeds. I did it for a couple of years. I said, why am I even doing this? Because, well, it's growing in my yard for one, right? So I found something that really works really well. I wouldn't suggest using it on your own personal lawn. I went and bought like 8 gallons of not ammonia. What's that? You all know what I'm talking about. Not ammonia, not bleach. Boy.
Not ammonia, not bleach. It's
it's vinegar. Okay. $1.99, $1.19 a gallon. Got the cheapest I could buy, and I started dumping gallons of the vinegar along the fence line. And I gotta tell you, best weed killer I ever came across. It just kills it right to the core. They don't come back for a year or two. And it's relatively cheap because like a gallon of the stuff at the store is like $20. I got like 8 gallons for like $7.50. So yeah, the little things you learn along the way, I guess. But so I was so you guys know me. I know Brandi knows for sure. I'm the type of guy, I'll go out and if there's this one mobile gas station that it's always a long line, and for whatever reason I start talking with people, or people just start talking to me out of the blue, and I kind of look for, every time I go somewhere now, I look for people that I think might be kind of odd, and I kind of ask probing questions out of the blue to see what they're all about, try to get a story, right? And so now more and more I'll wear like paranormal shirts when I go out, or Bigfoot shirts when I go out, because a lot of people will, like I had a shirt that says "Ask me about Portlock," which is Portlock, Alaska. So like, cool, yeah. Somebody saw it immediately. I started telling them, right. So about 2 weeks ago, I just had we went to the Alabama Bigfoot conference when it was, Brandi, as you know, and I wore the conference shirt. It was one of those mornings where my mom was at her sister's for the weekend. And I don't know about you two, but I'm not one of these guys that's really chirpy and full of piss and vinegar in the morning. I kind of get up, put on a coffee, and I just kind of lounge around for a while. So I don't really eat a lot of breakfast typically. But I do, believe it or not, love breakfast food. So one morning, it was like one of these crisp, cool days, right? 2 weeks ago, which was very strange. It's been hot and humid in here. And I said, you know what? I'm kind of hungry. So I went to this restaurant. And of all things, it's called the Flamingo Restaurant. Those of you that know the story about me and the Flamingo Casino in Vegas, I had that crazy nightmare that I talked about last month or whatever. It's called the Flamingo. It's very popular. It's pretty cool. And I went there by myself because I was hungry. It was like 8:30 in the morning. So there's kind of already a line there. And I'm wearing the Bigfoot conference shirt from Alabama. So there's a wait to get seated, and I'm just kind of hanging out, and there's a bunch of people in back of me, and I happen to turn around on purpose because I always have a method to my madness to kind of flash the shirt to maybe spark up some conversation. Because anytime someone wears a Bigfoot shirt or something paranormal, you usually get somebody that asks you about it.
There's somebody, yes.
There's always somebody. So I kind of on purpose, I did this, and right in back of me, there's a younger couple. I mean, they're not young, but they were probably 10 years younger than me. And I kind of turned around and I noticed that the guy and the girl, they kind of see it. And I'm like, okay. Then I turn back around. I say, oh, cool. I sparked their interest somehow. I can tell. So I go in, I get seated, and they get a table not too far from me, maybe 8 feet over or whatever. So I'm sitting there I'm on my phone reading some stuff, waiting for my food, drinking some coffee, and they're doing the same. And I noticed they were looking over at me a little bit, and they're talking amongst themselves. So when the both of us we kind of finished eating right around the same time, maybe having our last coffee, and the guy and the girl, before they're leaving, they get up and they come over and said, hey man, I'm sorry, but we noticed your shirt. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Not infringing on you, just no big deal. I said, no. I said, hell, I'm at a table for 4. I said, sit down, man. I got time, If you guys have time, sit down. So they come over, they sit down. And I was telling them about the conference, told them about my YouTube channel, this, that, and we're talking little Bigfoot. And I can tell they're very into it, asking questions about cryptids and Bigfoot and stuff. And then the girl says, hey, are you into the paranormal as well? I go, yeah. In fact, I talk about everything. And I mentioned the blondes and booze and stuff like that. They're paranormal. In fact, I gave out all of our, YouTube stuff. They're like, oh, cool. Because they said, man, well, you're going to think we're weird. And I said, and you don't think I'm weird? It's okay. Just tell me, I just, told you I believe in Bigfoot, saw a Bigfoot and all this, that, and the other. Yeah, yeah. Do I think you're weird? I said, I don't care how weird it is. Weirder, the better. I won't judge you. Boom. Let me have it. So we got another round of coffee, right? And so they were telling me. Now, we've all heard about the black-eyed kids. You've heard the general stories about the black-eyed kids. Mm-hmm. Usually a little 2 kids on your porch, whether it's a boy and a girl, 2 girls, 2 boys, whatever. How they got that look about them and this, that, and the other, which is very creepy. This story kind of starts out like this in that exact same way, but it's way weird and very creepy for me because, as you know, Brandi, and probably you, Monica, by now, clowns freak me out.
Yeah.
So they said in their house, their bedroom is upstairs, and they said it was this past June, early in June. It was still before it got really hot, kind of a nice day. It's about 8:30 in the morning on a Saturday. And they are up in their bedroom upstairs sleeping. It's the weekend, they're sleeping in. And they hear this continual rapping at their front door downstairs. And these two, this couple is like, man, you know how annoying that is on Saturday morning when you get a rap at your door. And they're like, it was weird because everybody knows our schedule, and there's nobody comes over at 8 o'clock in the morning rapping on the door. Nobody. But this was a knocking, and without stop, continual knocking. And then it stopped for a couple seconds, and then they heard this annoying horn. Not the horn of a car or a motorcycle or a bus. They said it was like a horn, and they said, you know how sometimes the clowns have those squeaky horns, squeak, annoying as all get out. It sounded like that. But they said, well, let's wait a few minutes. They're going to go away, whoever it is. I'm the idiot. They've got to stop. But they said it was probably a solid 2 minutes. Then the old man, the guy, he gets up, and the wife follows him downstairs. Now he's kind of ticked. He goes down the stairs to his front door, and the rapping's going on, the little squeaking of the horns going on. He was like, who in the hell is this? He opens the door. Standing there are two kids, preteen. He said they had been between 9 and maybe no older than 12, a boy and a girl. They both had their heads tilted down, and they both had these black hats on their heads. And he could tell one was a girl, kind of remind you of you, Brandi. He said the one girl had really long blonde braided hair, and he could tell the other was a guy because he's a little more wider, a little more robust. So he could tell. But he says, I thought this was a practical joke. Because I'm thinking the black-eyed kids right off my head. I'm just thinking this because they said it'd be like kind of weird, paranormal-ish. They were both dressed in clown suits, head to toe. Okay?
Yeah.
Literally. I'm like, you gotta be joking me. I said, was a circus in town? They're like, well, listen. I'm like, okay. And the boy even had the bozo, he had the clown shoes on, red shoes. The girl had whatever, and they were dressed like clowns. And then when they lifted their heads, their face was painted white, and they had the big red overpainted smiley face on their faces. And he says, man, when they lifted up their heads and looked at me, the brim of their head, their hat, they pulled it up just a little bit. He says, Rob, I didn't see whites of their eyes. It was like black eyes, no pupils. I'm like, well, first of all, clowns freak me out. Black eyed kids freak everybody out. And I'm thinking, I've never heard this before, ever. I go, well, did you say something? Did you ask him? And he goes, yeah, can I help? Hi, can I? Then they drop their head down and they're kind of talking into the ground. Can I help you, kids? They said, can we come in and use your phone? Again, we've always heard that too. They always ask to invite them in, right?
Yes.
Come and use your phone. Are you lost? And it was funny because they say, well, our parents dropped us off on the block and we think they're lost, and we're on our way to the circus. Okay. Well, immediately in the day of the internet, the wife is already on her phone typing in circus. There's no circus going on. Okay. I'm listening to this story, and they were very adamant about being invited in to use the phone to call their mom and dad. They said, you kids don't have a cell phone. Yeah, we do, but we're not getting service. So the husband immediately says no. He's ready to shut the door, and his wife says, well, "Wait a minute, they're kids. Let them in." He goes, "Hang on." He goes to the young kids or whatever on the porch. These clown, creepy kids, right? Kind of shuts the door and goes to his wife. "Did you see these kids? Do you see their eyes? How freaky?" He goes, "Well, it's probably makeup or whatever." He goes, "Well, hey, honey, there ain't no circus in town, and I know they're full of gump. You know that you get a cell phone. Why would their parents just drop them off ran?" He goes, "This is a BS story." He goes, "There's no way I'm not letting these kids in." She goes, "Okay, yeah, you're right." He says, "Let's get them the hell out of here." And the guy opens his door, and the kids are standing there. And, "Oh, thank you. You're letting us in now." He goes, "No, we're not. Hey, listen, I'm sorry about your plight. What's going on here? We can't help you." And he shuts the door. Shuts the door. The kids are standing on the porch for about, he says, a good 4 or 5 minutes before they leave. Then all of a sudden, that squeaky, annoying horn, they start honking it on their front porch. The guy's getting ticked off as he's telling me at this restaurant. He goes, "Man, you know what, honey," to his wife, "I'm calling cops. I'm not going out there. I don't want to deal with this. It's kind of freaking me out." "Yeah, okay." So he goes to the phone, wherever he went to go, maybe pull out his cell phone or whatever. All of a sudden, after he says that to the wife, the squeaky horn stopping all this, right? And he looks out, and they're gone. They're like gone. Then he goes out. Then he leaves his house and goes, "Well, where'd they go?" He wants to see where they're at. They're nowhere in sight, you guys. They're. He goes, "Rob," he goes, "my block, unless they got picked up by their parents in a car," which he says, "I doubt. I didn't hear any car pull up in my driveway, but they like vanish in thin air." He says he goes back into his house. His cell phone rings. Answers his cell phone. He's listening. He goes, "Honey, you got to hear this." Puts it on speaker, and it's the squeaking of that phone being played
Oh no.
through his phone.
No.
And then at the end of the annoying horn, one of the kids says, allegedly, I guess it's one of the kids, right? That's put two and two together. "You should have let us in." Wow. This guy says, him and the wife look at each other like, how does this happen? How do they get our phone number? What's going on here? So, needless to say, the husband, the wife, they're freaking out. Creepy clown-looking kids with black eyes. They're all, let me in, make up this sorry-ass excuse about the circus. Mom and dad dropped them off, can't find them, no cell phone. And then, of course, the kids vanish. Then you get the call back on the phone with the creepy horn, and the kid says what he says. So this couple's frazzled, obviously, and they're trying to get their wits about themselves. They made breakfast or whatever, and a couple days go by, and nothing. No calls back, no nothing. They're like, wow, they kind of started laughing it off by midweek. Then he says, right about towards the end of the weekend, right around midnight, 1 a.m, they're rapping at the door. Same rap at the door from the morning, like a week earlier, and the horn. Horn's going off. The guy goes, "This is bullshit. I'm calling the cops." "Well, hey, just go run down there and see, blah, blah, blah." Runs down, looks out. He goes, "This is the oddest thing, though. I'm expecting to see these two kids dressed in a clown outfit." Looks out his peephole. He looks out the peephole and he hears the horn going off. The rapping at the door stopped, but the horn is still prevalent. Looks out the peephole and there's nobody's on his porch. He opens the door and the horn stops. Looks out, nothing, nobody around. So he goes, Rob, what do you think of that one? I said, man, I've heard some bizarre stories in my life, and I know you're not making it up because you guys, if you were with me having breakfast with this couple, the way they spoke to me, they were not lying about this. Something happened. The girl was getting upset, and the dude was just raging pissed. I knew that they were honest. And now, the clown outfit and all this, I mean, I don't know, but something occurred, man, and they were really sincere and genuine and opened up to me after, of course, I spewed off for, me 20 minutes about all my crap. And man, and I go, and then they asked me, what do you think that was? And the first thing I thought you guys was the Black Eyed Kids, but I've never really heard it quite put to me ever a story like that, right? It's always been hoods, dark clothing, pale faces. Now, of course, this had the white makeup and man, that would have creeped me out. If I'd have seen those kids on my porch with that clown outfit, I said, boom, shutting the door. I'm calling the cops. Get these kids out of here, But man, I had the chills. I felt the chills for this couple as they unfolded this tale to me because I could tell they were scared. Then I had asked, well, okay, after that night, the second time around, anything happen or occur? No, we haven't got nothing. I said, you get any weird calls on your cell phone? Nope, nothing. And but they said they're still shooken up about it. And I said, well, I frankly don't blame you. So that was the story I got a couple of weeks ago. Me, at the, getting breakfast food at the restaurant, and I run into these people. And so I guess Brandi or Monica, whoever wants to go, what's your immediate thoughts on that?
Well, my immediate thought was that movie, Something Wicked This Way Comes. That was my immediate first thought. If you've not seen it, it's, of course, Stephen King. And they talk about a circus comes to town, and then these people from the circus start preying on the people in the town. So, I automatically started thinking of that when you started. And then as you're explaining it, then, the Black Eyed Kids came into the mix. But out of all the stories I've ever heard about Black Eyed Kids, I've never heard of them coming back, as in, like, I don't know, just like a ghost type of thing. I've never heard that. I mean, I don't know what to think about that.
Well, you're talking about they supposedly came back with the knocking, and then the honking.
Yeah, the honking and the knocking, but they weren't there. So that sounds more like a ghost issue or magic issue. I'm not sure which to say.
Well, some people do think that the Black Eyed Kids are demonic. I think a demon doesn't necessarily have to show itself either, right?
Mm-mm. Oh, Ray Bradbury book, but I'm sorry, that was Ray Bradbury, my fault. So, yeah, I mean, but they've talked about, like, the men in black will come get these children. Once you call the police or whatever and describe the police, whatever, it's like almost like the men in black show up. And it's been in several stories that this had happened, but I've never heard of them coming back.
Well, again,
I don't know, not in the flesh.
Well, Brandi, me either, because all the stories I've heard, they show up the one time, they're kind of persistent about invite me in, but that's it. Once they're gone, never to return.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm thinking Black Eyed Kids. In the onset, I'm thinking Black Eyed Kids, but now they're clowns and they're weird. But like you said, I've never heard stories where they do come back. So I kind of changed my tune on that. That's why I thought it'd be cool to bring up today, because I don't think, at least to my recollection of stories about the Black Eyed Kids, I've never heard, as you mentioned, the return visits.
Right, the return. I've never heard of that. That's something new.
And the return visit, but there's nobody there. Honking of the horn, rapping on the door, but no one's on the porch. And really quickly, Monica, before hold that thought, the other thing, though, which really would have fucking blown my mind. Sorry for swearing. I'm just like into this. The phone rang that morning. They called. They got his number, and the honking of the horn and the voice. You should have let us in, type thing. That would have gotten me going.
Yeah, that would have freaked me out. The kids, dressed in clown costumes, knocking on the door. Kids can be a little pain in the butts, right? So I can't rule out neighborhood kids just being a menace.
Right.
But the phone call is what I don't understand. So unless they're friends of like their parents or something, these people just PO'd the kids, or they're just being, little jerks, which they can be
right now.
all the time.
Now, Monica, I'm sure you've heard the stories about where in paranormal cases that people have had phone calls from past spirits. They've had phone calls.
Yeah.
So that just makes me wonder exactly what they were dealing with in the first place.
Well, yeah. The phone call's what's tripping me out. So you've got a rational thought, which would be the kids know you. You just didn't recognize them because of the clown paint.
The makeup. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or it's supernatural 100%. And they're just using the phone to communicate, a menacing thought. Now, the return trip with the honking at night, waking them up, that's typical, pain in the butt teenage behavior.
And you're right, pranksters.
Yeah. And I don't know what their front yard looks like. Sure, they're honking the horn, they're doing this and that. Could they have hidden behind a tree? Could they have ducked down under the edge of the porch?
From my gathering, I don't know if I asked the description of the house. I'm thinking that same thing, hiding and doing that.
Yeah.
But not maybe knocking on the door and hurry up and running off and honking a horn,
Yeah, like ding dong ditch with an annoying horn.
Yeah.
You think the neighbors would hear it, because those horns are not.
They describe the kids as the boy.
No, they're loud.
Right.
I'm thinking both sides.
They describe the kids though being young.
Well, not every parent's great.
They said 9 to 12. Hey, listen, Brandi. I remember being a little kid at my mom and dad's house. I was probably in first grade, and there was these two kids, my age, first graders. I remember my mom opens the front door, and there's these two little kids, my age, my brother's age, on the front porch, on the steps, sitting down with a bag of chips, eating a bag of chips at like 7 a.m. My mom, hey kids, where do you live? What are you doing here? Type thing. They had their pajamas on, and they said they were locked out of their house. Mom and Dad went to work, and she goes, I don't even know you kids. Where do you live? They said 4 houses down. And sure enough, parents were gone off to work and locked their kids out, gave them a bag of chips for breakfast, and said, didn't let them back in the house.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, it's turned out down the road, I guess I'm still a little kid back then, but I know now today that those children were abused, and I don't want to get into it tonight, but yeah, it was not a good setup. So there's not good parents out there.
And kids also sneak out because, let's be real. Yeah. I was crawling out of my bedroom window when I was like 12, 13 and roaming the streets in the middle of the night when I should not have been. I was doing that.
Yes.
I wasn't knocking on people's doors because I wasn't looking to get shot. But
yeah, back when you could be 13 years old and running around the neighborhood with no fear.
I don't know. I probably would have still. It was another time back in our day, right?
Yeah, it was a different time. I don't think I would have done it today, knowing the things that I know.
But we don't know those things when we're like 12 and 13 years old.
Well, I thought that too. And I'm going to get a little serious right now, because where my child goes to school in the school district, they just had 2 days off because they were being threatened for a school terrorist attack, I guess, if you want to call it that. 2 days out of school for that because it was all over the internet. They were getting messages through their phones all this kind of stuff. It is a different world today, and it's a little scary. So, for me, it's kind of like, I don't know if I would do it. Now, when I was 13, yeah, I'd be out there. I did. I hope my mom's not watching, but yeah, I did it. I did it.
They knew I did it. I can't.
Oh no, I rapped on people's doors and booked.
Yeah.
And I took off. In fact, I did it. In fact, I did it when I was 30 years old.
Mhm.
Yeah. I did. I must admit, I did.
Rob still climbs out the window now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I knew the person I did it to, though, so it wasn't random. I was kind of a little devil as a kid. We started the UVA in high school. The UVA. Now, we weren't bad. It was called the United Vandals of America.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I could have led the chapter in Santa Rosa.
Yeah, well, we weren't bad kids. Our big thing for a while was we egged people's houses and cars coming down the road until we stopped. Well, we egged this guy's car coming down the road, right? And so there was 3 of us, me, Brian, and his kid Mike. Smashed this guy's car, good boy. Ooh. With the eggs covered. Me and Brian take off running. Mike takes off running. And now we're going through this field because it was off the freeway. And so we had to hurdle this fence. I mean, we were young and athletic. I hurdled the fence. Brian hurdles. Mike tries to hurdle it. His tennis shoe gets caught on the top of the fence. He gets hung up on the fence. This guy catches him, and this guy's like 6'5", 300 pounds. Grabs Mike. Grabs him, takes him to his car, and used Mike's body, literally, to clean the eggs off his car.
Oh my gosh.
He was an omelet ready to be cooked on the griddle when we seen him. Yeah. But yes, everybody, that's the extent of my vandalism. Egging some cars. Yeah, I did. Hey, guilty.
I only targeted people. I was a targeted vandal.
You targeted people.
I targeted people.
I used a lot of toilet paper.
Yeah. Oh, my dad was.
Yeah.
My mom and dad, growing up, they always had Christmas parties. My dad has bought this super cool, and it was December, but my dad got a great deal. He had a Corvette, cherry red, right? Stingray. Loved it. That was, oh my gosh. My dad every year would have Christmas lights decked out in the front of the house. And we're having a party. I mean, my mom and dad are. Me and my brother are way too young. And they're having a good time. I know they're having a good time. Today, what I know about partying, they were having a great time. Then all of a sudden, I hear my dad bitching, right? Somebody took all the Christmas lights off the front of the house and wrapped the Corvette in them. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Scratched the paint job all to hell.
Oh, I bet they did.
Oh no.
I tell you what, my dad loved Christmas, and he still did throughout his life, but that was the last time he ever decorated the front of the house with lights because of that incident. Spoiled him rotten where he did not want to do it anymore. Yeah.
Well, I would have to say, my dad would have said to my mother, well, I guess we have to get a new darn paint job. And he'd go get the most, fantastic paint job ever. It looked better than it did before. That's my dad for you. He'd have done that.
Well, Daddy-O kept the vet, and yes, he got it taken care of. I know, to my mom's chagrin, because that was not insurance covered, I don't think, back in the day. Or even today, I don't think it would be.
No, your car got wrapped in, Christmas lights? We don't cover that.
Well, here's the thing, though, because the car was wrapped in Christmas lights, and these people, they took their time, knowing full well there's a party, but they figured nobody was paying attention, right? And the lights were still on. It was like a big car wrapped in lights that were still glowing.
Oh,
no. They didn't unplug them. They kept the lights on the car. So it was this big car wrapped in Christmas light. Yeah.
It sounds like something I would have done, but it wouldn't have been random. You would have had, there was a reason your car would have gotten wrapped in Christmas lights. Yes. You had it coming.
Yeah. I'll remember to never get on your bad side. It sounds like you target people. Yeah.
I do. Or I did.
That's why I will never, ever bring up the subject of how you detest pizza, because I'm sure it was quite annoying. So
I'll leave that alone. I can laugh at myself. I know that I'm weird like that.
But yeah, I can't think of anything else dumb I might have said. I don't know.
I can say as an adult, I'm not going to say what year, where I lived, or anything like that, because I know nothing. That a car got saran wrapped with those big, huge industrial sized saran wrap roll.
Yeah. I did that, but there was honey beneath it because I heard that honey ate the paint job.
Oh, Lord. Like she said, there would be a reason.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how she got in her car that eve, whenever she came back to her. Yeah. And I can tell you stories of what I did to cars. Like, they're vulnerable. It's your vulnerable.
Well, you probably would have been a great member of the United Vandals of America.
I'm telling you, I'd have led the chapter over in Santa Rosa.
Yeah.
UVA.
We were going in junior high and go UVA. We recruited people, Thanks, Tex. Love you.
Bad girl, and she hates pizza. I do. I hate both of those.
Yeah,
you cannot bribe me with the pizza party or.
Boo on that one.
I can put myself right back on. Right?
I know you can.
Can't get rid of me that easy.
Yeah, no, I don't want to get rid of you. Thank you, Tex.
I don't know. That story's bothering me a little bit. It's that phone call, Monica. I think you're right. It's the phone call.
You guys discussed it for a little bit. I have to let the dog out right quick.
No, somebody in the chat did ask, like, how close do you have to be for the phones to share information? So if you have two Apple phones, you can tap and hold it for a few seconds, and it swaps information. Like, it'll share each other's contact directly into the phone.
Yeah, well, the Android doesn't even take that long.
Yeah.
You could be, you could be just sitting, like 10 feet from each other, and I could, snag that information from you, which is scary. That's why you always.
How they got the phone numbers too, right? I think. Yeah. I don't know what kind of cell phone they had, if they had them even on them, but Apple phones, I know the phones they don't have to touch, but they have to be very close together.
I think they arranged it that way because, like I said, way back when, you could be like 10 foot from somebody and get their information if they're sharing, tab was on. If their sharing tab was on, I could have everything in your phone, all your pictures, all your contacts. I could have everything. They may have. Yeah.
Yikes.
They may have fixed that where like now what you're saying is, they have to be closer in proximity so you would know.
Right.
Or hope you would know.
I sure hope. I don't want somebody just randomly grabbing my freaking photos.
Right. Yeah. Lolo's got it right. Cloning a device. You can clone a device very easily.
Okay. Yeah, you can. I kind of heard part of that when I was going up the stairs here. Let's say these kids were 9 to 12, and this happened this past summer. So these kids know a lot about technology. Let's say they were black-eyed kids. Still, that's pretty. If they were able to clone the device or somehow capture the phone number, they're pretty smart kids.
I mean, it's. My son could probably do I know he can do all kinds of stuff that I'm like, really? You know how to do that? I mean, they're smart kids these days.
You know, the
Right.
kids today are brought up on the internet, cell phones.
Yeah.
They have a cell phone in their hand at 5, you know.
For real? I remember seeing my daughter, who's going to be 21 soon, when she was 2 years old on our desktop computer. And she was sitting at the chair, 2 years old, with the mouse, clicking through like a learning program that we had.
See, yeah.
I just remember walking into the room and seeing her do that on her own. I didn't put her there. She crawled up and figured it out, and she was clicking through. And it was like a surreal moment for me. And I was like,
yeah, they can do a whole PowerPoint presentation by the time they're 11.
Yeah. And I'm like, which way goes forward? I don't remember the PowerPoints.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're like, oh yeah, this, and this. And I'm like, okay, fine.
Can you do pivot tables on an Excel? Because I can use your skills if you can do that.
Right. How about my taxes? Can you do that?
I got to tell you guys something about that. When I worked at Ford, I had a position where I had to put on meetings. And now when I graduated college, the internet, of course, the year that I graduated is when the internet boom. I had to write all my reports on the typewriter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the word processor came out, and I could have used that easily. So I didn't do the old cut and paste. I actually had to do the research in the library and study and write it out by hand, then type it. Then after a while, I had to send my papers to my mom to type for me because I just sucked at typing. And I said, Mom, you can only have 2 whiteouts. It's 20 pages long, 2 whiteouts only. So, but anyway, I started working at Ford, and I had to do presentations. I was the only guy that never learned how to use Excel or PowerPoint. I was the only guy that typed everything out and sent it to everybody to read. My boss was like, how come I don't know. I just never got it. To this day, I don't know how to use PowerPoint or Excel.
I hate Excel.
To me, it's too complicated. I've tried it. It's just like, okay, wow.
Yeah, you have to create your formula and all of that.
The formula. I'm a guy that failed math, and I was no good at math. I mean, I was running all that stuff. Boom, no, terrible.
I mean, it's like computer programming to me, like Excel formulas and crap. I'm like,
yeah. I mean, it gets a little bit too much for you. It just.
But anyway, it's something, and yeah, to this day, it's like, okay. So I got 2 questions on this story I did earlier. Do you think that these were kids, or do you think they might have been black-eyed kids? But here's the follow-up question. I'll do 2 at a bonus question on top of that. What do you think of the black-eyed kids in general? Do you think they do exist, and are they demonic?
I think that they do exist. There's way too many people seeing them. And I don't think they're demonic per se. I think they're a type of vampiric entity. And the only reason I'm saying that is because the whole, invite us in. I can't come in unless you invite me in.
It's kind of vampiric, kind of like a vampire, right?
Yeah.
For those that believe, a vampire, has to be invited in,
or something
along those lines.
That line.
Yeah. I just heard this the other day. I was talking with Dennis Carroll. He was on the show. Even with demons, and Brandi, Krista, the demonologist girl, but Brandi, I'm sure you know a little bit. Probably Monica, you do. I think doesn't a demon have to be invited into your space, or they can just show up at any time?
They can show up anywhere.
They're going where they feel like. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But they cannot take you yourself, your body, as their vessel, unless you give in. You have to tell them that it's okay, that they can take it. And that's usually where the signs of possession start, when they start, wearing you down and just doing everything they can to torment you.
They wear you down, but I think that they can possess you when you're in a very vulnerable spot. I don't think you have to invite them in and say, yes, you can possess my body. I think that they can take possession if you're worn down enough. That's where the oppression comes, right? They oppress you.
Well,
and then possession. There's oppression, and then possession.
I think it comes down to not saying, hey, go ahead and take my body. It's coming down to the point where you say, I just don't care anymore. I just don't care.
Mm-hmm.
You're beaten down.
Then you're done. Yeah, I just don't care. That's the point, is I don't care. And it's like I said, they'll wear you down to the point you're like, I just don't care anymore. I just don't care. You're just hoping it all will end, and then that's the beginning of just another chapter of hell, is what that is.
You know, they talk a lot about, mentally getting broke down. And when you're mentally broken down is when it probably opens yourself up to more of these nefarious things.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because a lot of the attacks from demons are doing things to your children or your loved ones. So, to the point where you're like, leave them alone. Just leave them alone. And then you're like, just take me. That comes down to, I don't care. Take me. So,
really quickly, Ron Forrest makes a point that black-eyed kids are the kids of Men in Black. We're going to address that in a minute if you guys want, but I don't know if you guys answered this yet. So this couple tells me at the restaurant, and again, they were sincere, genuine. I'm pretty good at judging people. I am. I could tell they were not full of crap. However, do you guys think that what they saw was Kids in Black, but just a totally different narrative versus the typical hoodies? You think they were prankster kids that were very smart? Even with the phone ringing, capturing their number somehow. Listen,
it throws me off that they were in clown paint. It sounds.
Yep.
Okay, so it sounds to me like kids just being a-holes, like kids can be. They think they're being cute and funny, and the fact that they came back. There's things that are not in line with the typical black-eyed kid encounter, right? And kids these days, they know what a black-eyed kid is. They know what they are. They're not stupid. Yeah. So they could be like mimicking this just to be annoying. Like maybe this guy yelled at them for being on his lawn or something. Maybe they were coming back. It just seems like
maybe, because maybe they're the annoying neighbors on the block, always yelling at the kids or whatever. So
they kicked it. You don't know, this dude could have kicked their dog or whatever.
Yeah, but because besides the phone call and the horn noise, it all sounds like a prank.
Yeah, it does. And I got to tell you, even the phone call, depending, we just talked about sharing information, or they could be kids of friends and they know them. They know Mr. Johnson down the street. My mom and dad hang out with them and, play
or whatever
every Saturday night or whatever. Mm-hmm. They could have access to their parents' phone that have these people's information. We just don't know enough about the background.
That's possible that they got it from the parents. Maybe it could have been a neighbor. Now, certainly you guys bring up some points that I wish I would have thought of. One of the questions I wish I would have asked now is how many kids are in your neighborhood that are a boy and girl, right?
Because it does. There's too many things that are just out of step with the typical, because black-eyed children encounters are pretty uniformed, right? They show up either on your doorstep, they show up outside of your car door wanting to be let in. Mm-hmm. And they get kind of pissy when you don't let them in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then they just disappear and you don't see them again, right? They don't show up dressed like clowns. And the fear of clowns is a pretty common fear.
And again, it's very fearful. I don't like clowns, and because of an experience I had as a kid, that's why I can't stand them. But they're very ingenious. Let's face it, though. If they're between 9 and 12, 8 o'clock in the morning, they really thought this out. They probably had to escape out of mom and dad's house because, first of all, you get dressed up in the outfit and paint paint the faces,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so they really smart. If it is kids, and I guess I'm hedging towards that as well, I think, but very smart kids then. I mean, that was a hell of that would scare me first thing in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm not.
Yeah, but I mean, first of all, we don't know what kind of environment they live in. Their parents could be, I mean, you could go the extreme. The parents are passed out drunk, or the parents are at work, or the parents just don't give a flip.
Yeah.
You know.
No, that's obviously just like I told you a story about if Nikki and Connie, by the way, are the name of the two kids that showed up at my mom's doorstep eating a bag of chips at like 7 in the morning when they were locked out of their house. Mom and dad were at work.
That's
And the
horrible.
yeah, you know what's horrible about that though that I found out later in life. And I grew up in Nikki and Connie lived in my block for a couple of years. In fact, the one went to the high school. One didn't even make it to school at all.
Hmm.
The girl, Nikki made it. But yeah, you know, and then I found out years later, very sad story. Connie ended up becoming a prostitute,
Oh.
and Nikki drug overdose.
No.
So terrible parental environment, and you know, that's the
It breaks
type.
my heart that kids are in those kind of
Yes.
situations. I know how I feel about my children, and to think that there are people out there that just
Oh, you know, it is heartbreaking, and I often wonder too. You see this. I don't know. I don't get into that. Turn this into a sob session, but you see it every day. At least I do along the freeway. A family with little kids work for food type signs, and you wonder what the deal with these people are. But there's many homeless people out there. At least the family was together homeless that I've seen on the freeway, not just kids by themselves. At least they're together, but still, it's kind of tragic.
It is. It's sad. It is very sad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna say that very ingenious prank by two kids. Don't know what their background is with the parents.
Right.
So, yeah, I guess
Yeah, because it sounds like they were trying to hide their appearance. That if they, if they really looked at the kids, they'd know who they were.
Yeah. But
I want to ask you guys before I move on. Ron asks, he says he thinks that he's made a statement earlier. I'm trying to remember what he said. He said, men in black are kids, black-eyed kids are children of men in black. I don't know that I've heard that before, but what the hell? Okay, are men in black, Monica, Brandi, men in black, aliens? Is that what they're supposed to be? And I'm not talking about the movie.
I don't think they're aliens.
I think they're government type issued officials of some sort.
I think they're clones. They could be alien hybrids because I've heard of them showing up and acting real weird, or they look like all of them look similar.
Their demeanor's different.
Yeah.
That there's something quirky about their actions, or the way they
they're not
speak.
regular. They're not regular peoples. I'm not going to go as far as say they're aliens either. I think that they could be some, because we've all heard about the aliens harvesting eggs for crossbreeding with humans. Maybe
I did a story
that's what these things are.
You guys heard that story I did, right? With the woman with the hybrid children?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like I said, I think that they are somewhere in the powers that be have brought them to be among us, and they have a job.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say that politely, or politically correct, or whatever I'm trying to do here, but yeah.
Yeah, I hear you on that one, Brandi.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So,
but,
However,
though, I think we all can agree black-eyed kids exist. They're out there.
Oh, I think they are.
And I think Monica is on the right track of them being along the vampire type.
Yeah. I don't know that they're necessarily vampires, but they're vampiric entities. Some kind of vampiric entity.
Yeah. Whether it be energy, whether it be what.
Yeah. I mean, they're it seems anyway that they're bound by these rules. Got to be invited in.
Yep.
And
Yeah, the kids hit on a lot of that because they were very adamant about it being invited in. Because, like you said, you could have picked it up off the internet, as you said, Monica, Brandi. So yeah, so they're pretty ingenious kids. But yes, with the black-eyed kids, yeah, I think that definitely they're out there. They exist.
Oh.
Would not want to come across.
Yeah, I don't necessarily want one showing up on my porch because I'm a bleeding heart for kids. I don't know how.
I don't want any Men in Black showing up on my porch.
Yeah,
either.
I sure don't want the Men in Black.
No,
popping up.
Don't want that either. No.
Yeah. Hey,
So
stop talking about us on your freaking YouTube channel, lady.
Just keep talking, ladies. Just keep talking. It'd be all right.
Yeah. So I got another story about this. I got a Bigfoot story actually, which is kind of weird too. This is kind of like offbeat. That first story was offbeat, and this is kind of out of the realm too of your typical Bigfoot. That's what I like doing at night. I get these crazy things that I don't know that I'd say during the day, but this story really is. You guys tell me. So this is a couple. Let's call them Bob and Jan. I don't know what their name. I forgot their names. They had a house. They lived in Des Moines, Iowa. Or Des Moines. No. It's not Iowa. It doesn't matter too. It's Idaho. Somewhere in Idaho. Okay. Because yes, there's mountains. There ain't no mountains in Iowa, as far as I know. So yeah, it was Idaho. And it was a wintry day, and they've been living there for about 10 years. And now this couple, though, they knew about Bigfoot because I guess in the area out there in Idaho, like right around, I want to say it's Spirit Lake, because I'm familiar with that, where there's a lot of, there was like ghostly things going on, a lot of dogman encounters, Bigfoot sightings, and so on. So that was spread throughout the community for years. You can look that up. You can find that on the internet anywhere. But they're interested in Bigfoot and all these cryptids, but they're not researchers. They just knew about it and read up on it all the time. And they were saying that, okay, one night during the winter, they had a nice powdery snow. It was falling. It was very light snow. And they just happened to be going out in the morning. It was a nice enough day where they went out. They didn't even need to wear a parka. It was one of those days. Yes, the snow had fallen, but it was just a nice mild day. It was mild enough where the powdery snow still kind of melting a little bit. And then they noticed that there was a set of footprints, human footprints with toes, but they were unusually big. They're like 22 inches long, 8 inches wide. And they're thinking right off the bat, well, Bigfoot came down from the mountains. And they're following these tracks all the way to the tree line. And like we typically always hear, then the footprints are gone. They stop before the tree line. It's a straight line. They said about 50 yards from the house. Straight up, but gone. Boom. And they did notice that some of the tracks were starting to melt a little bit, because it was kind of a mild day. But they were, needless to say, they were tracks. They were oversized human-type footprints. So like, wow, okay, this is cool. Now they're excited. They think that, Bigfoot's in the area. So one day they decide to get on their snowmobile. Another snow comes and they take their snowmobiles and they go out toward the woods. And there's a trail along the woods. And they're out in the woods on the trail. And they get off their sleds, snowmobiles, if you will. And they're looking around and they saw another set of more distinguishable tracks, because I guess during this time period, during this part of the day, it finally got back to normal weather. It was nice and cold, and it was very crisp, distinctive tracks. Again, the guy measures 22 inches, 6 inches wide. Very distinctive, but they were kind of haphazardly all over the place. Didn't quite disappear, but the track pattern was very, it was just very complex and just all over the place. But now they're thinking, yeah, there must be a Bigfoot around here or whatever. And so they go back home or whatever, and they're sitting down, they're having coffee or something in the morning, and they're thinking about how they're going to plan their next day, and they're going to be on high alert for Bigfoot, and they're out listening every night for whoops, yells, screams, or whatever. They can't hear anything. And then one night they're up in their bedroom. They had a duplex, I guess, and at the top where their bedroom is, they had a little veranda, and they could look out, and they seen this big, shadowy humanoid emerge from the wood line, and it's approaching the house, and it's getting bigger, taller, bigger as it's getting closer to the house. And they're both, oh my God, look, there it is. They can't make it out. They can't see it distinguishably. It's nighttime, but it's a big shadowy figure. Oh, there it is. I knew we had Bigfoot. They're saying to each other. It's getting close, and it gets up, and then, they said within a blink of an eye, it's gone. So they get all excited, you guys, and they get on their snowmobiles or whatever they did, and they jettisoned out on their sleds out to where this figure was coming from the wood line. And then they're saying that when they get there, they're looking for, again, the tracks to match up the tracks with the ones they'd seen to make sure it was kind of, if they're on the right track here, right? No prints at all. The snow was perfectly solid. I mean, it was like nothing. It was just like a slate of pristine snow, not a single track to be found anywhere. And they knew they were in the general area. They even went up and down even went out of their way to look for tracks. Nothing. The snow is glistening, bright, nothing. They found that to be unusual. It's like, wow, this is really weird, right? And so they go back to their house, and now they can't sleep. They go in the lower level of the house, and they stoke a fire. This is where it gets weird. I don't know if this is ghostly, spiritual, whatever you want to call it, but they're sitting around talking about their plan of action to put forth to go out and, try to capture this Bigfoot. Not capture it on film or whatever. They're trying to come up with a plan, right? And then as they're stoking this fire, and now the fire starts to dim, and they shut down their lights. They're getting ready to turn in and go upstairs. Now, I made mention they seen that big shadowy figure coming from the tree line, which kind of disappeared. No tracks. They said, and this is an email. I got it right here. I'm looking at it on the computer screen here. I'm just kind of, not reading it. Then all of a sudden, from this fire stokes this figure of the humanoid creature. It says, coming from the fireplace, and we have a 10-foot ceiling to floor. It says here, ceiling to floor is 10 feet. That same humanoid figure they saw come from the tree line walking toward the house materializes from out of the fireplace and sitting in their home. Spiritual, it's translucent. They can see right through it. And then they thought that perhaps it was this weird smoke because it was all of a sudden the room got kind of smoky. The stoking fire, excuse me, is starting to bog down and kind of smoke up. So all of a sudden their house got filled with smoke, and this figure that they seen kind of blended in with the smoke in their house. And I guess the flute got caught, he's telling me later, so all the smoke was not escaping, it was coming through the fireplace. And he says at the end here, what was that, Rob? Do you know what this is? Thank you. His name signs it Felix. I don't tell this guy either, you guys. I get some weird emails. That's why I like telling you at night. That's something I don't want to do a video on. But I thought that was, again, you guys, I'm the guy. I don't judge people. I don't call people liars. It started good. Yeah, having a Bigfoot evidence. But to have an apparition of Bigfoot come out of your fireplace, matching what you just saw at the tree line, I find that kind of, I'm not going to call anybody out, but man, I've never heard anything like that, really.
did it have distinctive features, or was it just a big, bulky?
It was a big humanoid looking. Hang on, let me scroll up here.
Because to call it a Bigfoot ghost, just
it was a big humanoid looking creature, much like the apparition or Bigfoot humanoid that we saw from the tree line. It was identical in shape, and it towered and filled up our house from the ceiling to the floor, which is a 10-foot tall ceiling, extended ceiling, not extended. Extended ceiling. It says.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, but there's spirits that can be big and bulky, and it's not necessarily Bigfoot, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I think he says Bigfoot because he does make mention of. Now, I do believe that spirits manifest in a shape or form or size, right? What I'm questioning is not that he's seen a spirit, maybe he did. The fact that he had the, again, quote unquote, physical evidence of footprints and tracks that were humanish, humanoid, big, oversized men feet or human feet, 22 inches by 6 inches wide with toes. I might not have told you guys toes. He says here toes. Yeah, so he assumes Bigfoot. They knew about Bigfoot. Idaho does have alleged Bigfoot sightings.
Right.
Come down from the mountains because they live outside of the mountains. And I know Spirit Lakes. I looked up Spirit Lakes. I kind of looked this up a little bit. Spirit Lake, you guys. Again, that is, I don't want to say tainted land, but that was supposedly cursed land by First Nations people back in like the 1900s. So as I'm trying to piece this together, we have to play detective when we get these things, right?
Right.
Trying to piece this together. Maybe not Bigfoot, but maybe I'm thinking maybe a spirit from Spirit Lake.
It could have been. So I think that whatever made the tracks was physical, right? So probably was a Bigfoot that made the tracks. But the spirit could also be manifesting as something that it knows scares them, right? So if they've seen the tracks, they got Bigfoot on the mind, the spirit encounters them, understands that they've got Bigfoot on their mind, and they're probably, at least I think most sane people would be, maybe a little apprehensive at that. And it's manifesting in a manner that it knows will get that fear reaction out of them.
Brandi, we talk all the time about people manifesting things that they really want to have an experience with. Do you think what Monica's saying kind of fits that narrative?
Yeah, I like you said, I was shaking my head. I'm like, yeah, that's probably what happened. But I don't think the spirit manifested what they were looking for or what they've been talking about. I think the spirit manifested from what they have been talking about, that they actually manifested this thing. Because you said that they go out, and listen for the tree knocks and the whoops and the hollers and that this is like they've got Bigfoot brain. Is basically what you had said. So maybe they had manifested this thing, because they didn't find it out there when they saw it come out. I mean, I think they may have manifested this thing and not realized what they were doing.
Perhaps. I'm thinking that what they saw from the tree line was something. I think the footprints was something.
Mm-hmm.
The thing where I get a little like, okay, inside your house, fireplace, smoke,
I think they're two different things. Like,
I think it's
I think they are. I mean, I've heard a lot of stories of people talking about how, their house is haunted, and come to find out that they actually brought these things into the house because they wanted them in there. It's not because they were there; they brought them in. A lot of people
attracted them.
Yes.
Because I think all three of us believe that we can manifest. I know I can manifest things. Not that it comes true all the time. Just certain subtle things. If you concentrate on something long enough, I think anything's possible.
Oh, your vibrations 100% will bring something in. If you've got that in your mind, you're putting out that energy, and your energy is going to attract that energy. So that's why I have to, I mean, and I really recommend everybody, you just have to be very conscientious of what you're concentrating on. Like if you're really freaked out, try to calm down, try to think about it, and like do your best to not keep that mentality, because your energy is going to draw that in. Whether or not it's there to begin with is one thing. You will end up with it eventually if you keep that mindset.
I mean, I keep trying to manifest the lottery, but
yeah, me too.
It's not working. It's not happening.
Every time I manifest the lottery, I'm off by 1 digit per number.
Do I think that I could manifest a spirit quicker? Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd be infested with ghosts before I'd win the lottery. That's for sure.
Yep.
Yep. I'd have an infestation here before.
That's right. That's right.
Numbers.
You know, but I think that's basically what happened. Is they had Bigfoot brain, and I think they manifested this thing.
Yeah, I do think though where they are located, Bigfoot is prevalent. So I've looked it up, and I've heard people talk about Spirit Lake, and there's some weird things that do happen out in Idaho. That's we don't think much about Idaho as being a Bigfoot state, but they're.
Oh, I think it is.
I think they're pretty.
Western Idaho, definitely.
I mean, yeah, pretty. Yeah, they got everything you need there. They got the mountains. They got the forests.
Oh yeah.
You know.
I mean, I personally think that Sasquatch and Bigfoot are living, or whichever name you want to use, but I think they're living closer to us in many places that we wouldn't think they would be. I mean, they're having to hide in plain sight because we're building out so far now that I think that they're having to do that.
I think that they're building out in a lot of these cities and suburban areas is flushing them into suburban towns.
That's with any wildlife. We're encroaching in habitats. You're going to have encounters. Like here in Texas, in North Texas especially, it's growing so fast, and there's these nice homes being built where there was prairie land or thickets, to begin with, right? And they're displacing these animals. So people are freaking out because I got bobcats and fox in their neighborhood. Yeah, they were there before you were.
Wait till Bigfoot comes.
Yeah.
Then you're going to freak out. Then you're going to freak out.
Yeah, then you're really going to. Don't talk to me about bobcats in your neighborhood.
Right. But I do believe that Sasquatch is hiding in plain sight now in a lot of areas. If they can't get to, like I only live 30 something miles from the Mark Twain National Forest, which is vast. But what if they're caught in between somewhere else and there? And they can't quite get there. They're having to get there somehow if they even choose to go there. Now, like in my area, all's good and well while the crops are up, but once they start, mowing that down, there is just nothing but dirt for miles. And that's where we're at now. So there's really nowhere for them to hide here except for a little while. I mean, are they using that time to move? Because they grow food out here. Now, it would be perfect for animals. You see all kinds of wildlife out here while they're growing. The deer and everything are just eating away. They're just having a good old time out there. I mean, raccoons, possums, anything that you can imagine are out here eating.
Yeah.
But as soon as they cut them crops down, they got to go somewhere because there's nowhere for them to hide. And I'm imagining that about these other cryptids, they're having to move too. But I mean, while the crops are up, they're eating good, and they could hide just as easy in the middle of these fields as they could anywhere else.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to ask you something, but we don't have time to do this entire subject. It would take a long time. But
like everything else.
yeah. However, though, we'll just keep it simple just to this regarding Bigfoot. So I looked it up, that Spirit Lake area was allegedly cursed land in the 18 or 1900s by First Nations. And as you all know, we've again, we all know this since we do this. A lot of First Nations think Bigfoot is nothing more than a spirit animal or an ancient person, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's your take just on that? Forget flesh and blood versus ghosts or paranormal. Do you think that, because a lot of these First Nations, they're adamant about it's nothing more than a spirit, a protector of the land. You think that's some, do you think it varies from tribe to tribe, nation to nation? Because they all differ, right? My question is, it's such a confusing topic to begin with. Why? Is one different than the other? Is that their perspective or what they've actually seen? Because according to this legend, the Bigfoot is nothing more than a spirit, which I don't think I buy. However, the next tribe might say it's a flesh and blood paranormal subject. So when it just comes to the spiritual element, do you think that Bigfoot is nothing more than a spiritual element? And we'll leave that because we don't want to go off the rails.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to tell you my quick thought on that. Coming from Brandi tribe, it's from the Brandi tribe.
Brandi tribe, yes.
The real. I've seen it. I know the real. Yeah. It's the Brandi tribe that says that. I don't believe in any more of that folklore stuff, any of the stories about how they're spiritual and blah, but no. I've seen it. It's real. I'm done. I've got that answer. I know it. So, do I know about the paranormal side or the spiritual side of it? No, I don't. That's a whole new ball of wax.
Well, that is, and I just wanted to kind of phrase it where we just thought just spiritual element, because I get all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, I've seen something. I've seen a physical creature that turned into a demon. There you go. What the hell is that? I even tell people, my Bigfoot encounter. Even 5 years later, it's 2018 it happened. So, 6 years later, still don't know what it was 100%. But me, not a spiritual thing, not at all.
No, I don't know anything about that side of it.
No.
I just know what I saw. I mean, it wasn't out there performing magic tricks or,
no,
orbs weren't following it and doing all this other stuff. I didn't say there was a creature there. I saw it. That was it.
We've all heard stories of a tree trunk manifesting into a Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. We've all heard Bigfoot manifesting from an orb. We've all heard Bigfoot being teleported out of a spacecraft. I mean, we've heard it all, you guys.
It's intergalactic space pets.
Yeah.
So I think that it varies by nation because they're going to speak on their tribe's history with it, right? So some might have experienced something that was more paranormal and ethereal versus something that's more flesh and blood. So their traditions are going to reflect that, right? Their stories are going to reflect that. Mm-hmm. And I think personally, they are flesh and blood. But again, not all of them necessarily. I mean, you can have some. I mean, what you saw was flesh and blood, but what somebody else is encountering isn't. Right. And, I don't know about trees being inhabited by their spirit, but
right. I mean, that's a whole.
That's a hard dot for me to connect. But if people are seeing things that are more incorporeal, let's say, versus a flesh and blood creature, I don't discount that because I think that it's possible that some forms of it are spiritual and some are purely physical, and I think that both probably do exist. I think that the bulk of the encounters people have with a real Bigfoot that were flesh and blood.
Well, I liked an answer. And I must tell you, Monica, Brandi and I were talking about you behind your back last week.
Of course you were.
Because
Rob, you're not supposed to say that stuff.
I know. We said, what hat
now
she
she
wear
knows.
again? She wearing that same hat again, for God's sake.
I know.
We love our
No.
hats.
No,
It's a
what we
thing.
need to do, because you brought up some things that reminded me of what me and Brandi were, and we really were talking about, because we were thinking about Saturday night shows, right? And I did that story about the trees, conforming, making the faces when I got followed home.
Mhm.
I want you, because you know a lot more than I do, and I really love the topic of the Fae and these elementals.
Mm.
We're gonna have to devote a show with you leading us on the charge of what in the hell this stuff is. And I know it would be more than a one show deal. We could do it like a little series in October or something.
Sure.
So food for thought for you. You guys,
Oh.
we like to keep the Saturday night show fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think tonight was kind of fresh with the clown black eyed kids.
Yeah, that's a new one.
That's
New one on me.
Yeah, that was a new story for me. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it reminded me of a
Something we
movie
could like him.
I'd
That's a
seen a long time ago.
great movie. I love the Autumn People, but I post that every October. If you're on my Facebook page or my Instagram page, I always post the Beware the Autumn People poem from Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Yeah, that was an excellent book. Great movie.
Is that's not Stephen King?
No, it's Ray Bradbury.
Ray Bradbury.
That's what you said.
I misspoke earlier.
I don't know if I've seen that movie.
Oh, you should. It's wonderful. And it's spooky. I mean, it holds up because it's from the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. I want to say
it said 80s. I want to say 80s.
But it holds up. It's a spooky book.
Yeah. Yes, it is. So
It
I mean,
probably is. I'm sure it is. And I love
movie, yeah.
And I love reading books when I can. I told you guys many times. I got a bunch sitting over there. I haven't even opened yet. I will tell you this in closing. There's one book that I've tried to read, if not 12 times in my lifetime. Then I have never tried to read it. Stephen King. And the movies I've seen, did nothing for me, not scary at all. But the book, I cannot complete it because it scares the hell out of me. Yeah. I just can't get
I can't do it. I can't do it either. And the movie, as good as it was, the book is even worse.
Yeah.
It gets a lot crazier in that book. There's a lot of more things that they don't discuss on the movie.
If I recall, the book's almost 1,000 pages long, and you can't cram that in an hour and a half movie.
Right. I read it one time and threw it down. That was it.
Yeah, I can never get through it. I usually, I get maybe 300 or 400 pages into it.
Really?
And then
that was the Stand for me. I couldn't get through the Stand.
I never read that one
because it's too plausible. It's way too. It's something.
I was getting ready to say that could happen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that
and that's what freaked me out the most about it. I think I don't even think I got all the way through the first chapter. I was like, nope.
Oh, wow.
Right. Yeah. No. And there's a lot of books like that have got things that are plausible that really happened, and the recent COVID thing was written about in a book. And I can't remember if it was Dean Koontz or James Patterson.
I love Dean Koontz.
I can't remember which one, but they were talking about an airborne disease that was released and how the world was taken, with that. And I mean, I'm like, okay, well, they already wrote about it. Pretty much the same thing that happened. It was kind of crazy. So
the Andromeda strain is very similar.
Yeah. But when you said the Stand, and I'm like, oh God, yeah, that's it. Yeah, there's another book that'll just freak you out because it can happen. And
Stand, I gotta probably look at it. You mentioned Dean Koontz really quick. I'm surprised no one ever knows who he is. I read the Frankenstein trilogy from Dean Koontz.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like Frankenstein, like Boris Karloff. It's not. It's similar, but it's
different.
good. And it's different, but the same premise. But man, I tell you what,
right,
I read the first book in one day.
Wait a
on.
second. You all right?
I'm trying to figure out. My neighbors are being okay. It's my neighbor. It sounded like somebody was screaming outside of my house. That's why I was.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Just,
I was like, are you okay?
It was the black-eyed clown kids.
yeah,
It's the black-eyed clown kids. That's a mouthful to say. The black-eyed clown kids.
But Dean Koontz, yes, he is an awesome author. My first book that I read from him in either junior high, I think it was junior high, was Watchers. It's a great book.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the Odd Thomas series.
I heard that was.
I love Odd Thomas.
I love Odd Thomas. Yeah.
It's very good. They even made a movie of it, of that
No.
particular.
And it was a great movie. I mean,
it was a great movie.
To a T, it left out a little bit, but man, you
good.
love Odd Thomas is just such an amazing character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard it was pretty. I heard it was great. I mean, again, so many things I like to read, I just don't. You know.
We're just gonna have to start sending Rob like links to the movies and stuff. Like, here, go watch this. Go watch this.
We'll have a book club episode and just like send all the books that we love, because
I think it'd be kind of cool. Again, it'd be taking really time to do. I was thinking though about one day just get a book we all agree on and read it and just do a show on it. You know how they do the book clubs and like at your house?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool.
I mean, that'd be cool if we could tell the audience, hey, in 1 month we'll be reviewing blah 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 book if they want to get it, you know.
Yeah, we did that with we did that with Heather Mosier one time. We did it. We did The Man from the Train is the one we did.
Okay.
And let me tell you, yeah, it was weird.
You know what I bet was a good book? 'Cause I know I liked the movie, and I don't know who the author was. It was Christopher Walken was in it, and Martin Sheen Sr., where he predicted the future.
The Dead Zone, Stephen King.
Yeah, that was a good movie. I imagine the book was way better.
Oh yeah.
Well, soon
it's a good movie.
Yeah, as soon as fall gets here, well, you name the book and we'll read it, or we'll figure it out and we'll read it.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool thing to do too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amy Crew goes, yes, book club, yay.
Book club.
I'm always reading something. I've got like 3 books on the burner right now.
Well, my thing, I'll start reading something and I'll stop. I'll read 3 chapters of one thing, put it down, read 2 of another one, put it down. Then I'm on the internet, then I'm watching a documentary. Then I'm running, I mean, it's like, come on.
I have a great, I've got a great werewolf series and I've got a great Bigfoot series. And the Bigfoot series takes place in Idaho.
Oh, well, there you go.
Wow.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
See, we've got that.
So we've got, J.R. Rice is the author of the Bigfoot or the werewolf series.
Yeah.
And it's, what's the name of it? Now I have to pull it up. But the Bigfoot one that takes place, I'll look up the werewolf one here in a second, but the Bigfoot one that takes place in Idaho is unknown. And it's really, really good. It's really good.
Well, that'd be cool. Yeah,
I'm writing it down so I have it to read.
So author J.R. Rice, he's done this amazing, amazing job on this werewolf book series. And if I could just get my Audible to cooperate with me.
See, because I am an audiobook queen. Because I'm always driving and I'm driving by myself. It's like I could knock out a book or 2 on just a trip.
Well, and this is great. And he just recently put the book series on Audible, and part of it actually takes place in Sonoma County, which is where I grew up, which I thought was pretty cool. It's called Bain County.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, the Bain County series is great. And the first book takes place back in the 80s, and it's this kid in high school. And then the subsequent books jump forward 20 years, and he's an adult, and he comes back. And it's this cyclical thing with these werewolves coming out of this nature preserve.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
it's great.
That's up my alley.
We might have to knock out the first book of that one.
Yeah, we might have to seriously look into that. that's going to definitely have to set some time aside for. But like I say, I'm wrapping down my activities from the summer, so I'll make time for those.
Rob's getting ready to hibernate, ladies and
Yeah, I told you guys. Yeah, summer's done. It's time to rejuvenate the cells, detox. You know.
Mm. I got the
Exfoliate and renew.
all over the place.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's it. We're going to exfoliate and renew.
Yeah,
that's
there you
that's
go.
what's happening.
You got to turn it over every year.
It's
Every
all
year.
over,
Turn it
yeah.
over. Every year. Yes. Get rid of the dead layers of skin. Be nice
Right.
and fresh come spring.
Yes.
You know.
I'm ready.
I'm ready to. Well, I'm ready to get out of here. We had a great show. I really enjoyed this show as always. Thanks everybody for coming in. Thanks for the super chat. Thanks, Tex. That was awesome. But yeah, so it's Saturday, it's midnight. The Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast. They're on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Look, I don't know the times. Monica Rollins, Thursday at 11. BMR, I'm on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Subscribe if you're new. Like on the way out, everybody. Like, leave a comment. Again, thanks for everybody for coming in. It was a great show. Love you all. And thank you to Monica. Thank you to Brandi for coming on in. Krista was sick. She'll be back next week. I want to hear about her haunted castle.
That's
was going
right.
to be part of the show today, but you'll get it from the Blondes, I'm sure, at least once next week. So with that being said, BMR, Brandi, Monica, we're out.